is up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond, and I'm back with my own new review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Let's get into it. So we pick up where we left off, which is Maurice and Marceau going back and forth with Marceau telling Maurice, you treated Jalen like a stepkid, period, point blank, right? And he's getting defensive with, you said you sound like Chris Fletcher, you lie all the time. Marceau was like, you're pathetic. And I want to get into what is it that Marceau lies about. Let us know, right? And Kimmy is being serious by saying, Monster is the golden child. Like, she even know. It's like she is not trying to save you in this moment, Maurice, because you did, in fact, put Monster over Jalen. You did. But then he thought that he ate with by saying, how is Monster the golden child when he doesn't have his own car? What does that mean? Just because he wasn't instantly given a car does not mean he wasn't still treated better than you treated Jalen. So you had a lot to give him, more praise to give him versus what you didn't give to Jalen. Period, point blank. And this is how he felt. This is how he has told you. This is how Kimmy felt. And he's not listening to that. Marceau is telling him point blank, if Jalen is telling you this, I'm seeing it, Kimmy's seeing it, this is what we are telling you, and you're not hearing it, you're not understanding it, and you're not looking at it as if, oh, I'm sorry that I did that, I didn't know that that's what I did. You're not doing that. He said, I treated him with the way how we were raised. Marceau said, we wasn't raised like that. We weren't raised like stepkids. What are you talking about? You cannot come into his life when he was 13 and treat him like that. Like, I don't know what world Maurice is living in. Like, I don't know what world Maurice is living in, because it's almost like he cannot compute different opinions. He cannot compute when things are not right, because he always wants to be right. And when him in this moment trying to give himself a pat on the back about how it was the way that he raised Jalen, it was a good thing, because look how Jalen turned out. That wasn't on you. That was on Kimmy. Kimmy was the nurturing one. Kimmy was the mother. She was caring. She was encouraging. That's something that you were not doing. Hence on why you don't have that personal relationship with Jalen. Hence on why Marceau is the person that he views as a father figure, because he was more open to Jalen. You weren't open to Jalen. And of course, you see Kimmy, she's looking embarrassed, looking stupid. But of course, she's not going to say nothing. She tells us in the confessional that she struggled with trying to tell Maurice how he's behaved, and has struggled with trying to get Maurice to change his behavior and think about his actions, and he doesn't do it. But also with her trying to get through to him, it doesn't work, but he values other people's opinions, and how he values Marceau's opinion. That's what Kimmy said. And that little nugget just sometimes passes through when it needs to pass through. But what I find a problem, though, Kimmy, is the fact that you being the wife in this situation, he doesn't value your thought process, doesn't value your opinions about it, and you being Jalen's mother in the mix is an issue for me. The fact that you've repeatedly said you've seen him treat Jalen differently than Monster, and that you wanted him to see if he's going to be on that same energy and treat Monster the same way he treated Jalen, and all these years he did not. You have been the main one that's been the stable parent, that's been the person that everybody goes to for advice, and you be nurturing, you be understanding. That has not been from Maurice. And the fact that he values everybody else's opinion, particularly a man's opinion, versus you being the wife, says a lot. I don't have time. And Marceau is telling him that love is a part action and part feeling, and you have to show up in both ways. Maurice still wants to be defensive by saying, I do love Jalen, the love is there, but it's not showing it. It's there, you assuming it, but it's not there because you did not show it. That's the reason why Jalen is telling you, I don't think that you've ever shown me love being your stepson. I don't think you did. Marceau was in the confessional saying that maybe you thought you were right, but what if you were wrong? And you should understand that maybe if you were wrong, write it and fix it now. So Marceau is pretty much telling him in more ways than one, bro. You got to get out of what you thought, get out of what you were taught, and change it. Because even though Jalen isn't a grown adult now, there's still time for you to create a lasting relationship. There is still time for you to form that personal bond with him. Otherwise, you've lost him forever, and it's due to what you did, not for what he did. So moving on from that. Now we got Trish and Ken at the studio. They're taking photos for her 38th birthday. It's a Western theme. I have no problem, and I honestly don't care that Trish put Ken in her photo shoot. It's her birthday. She can do what she want to do. But what I feel, there's no chemistry between them. I feel that they're trying to put on a show, that they're so much in love, and this, and that, and the third. I don't know. Maybe Trish is just awkward. Okay, that's it. That's all. While being excited for her birthday, this is not including Marquez. He's not coming. And with her saying she don't want him around her circle of friends, girl, these people are not your friends. Be clear. Ken is talking about, I'm happy this is your year. This is your 30th year. I want this year to be my 30th year of being special. No problem, no drama. Once the divorce is finalized, we could be done with it. We won't even see him around as much. And he won't have nothing to hold over your head. You know, he won't always want to pick a battle with you because you guys are still married, which I can understand. But the assumption that you think he won't be around is laughable, Ken, because they do still have kids. But of course, you kind of can understand Marquez's character, that he probably does not want to be around unless it's something beneficial for him to be around. So fine, that's cool. Then we're moving on from there. We are back with Maurice and Jalen meeting up, but now Marceau is in the middle to make sure everything goes smoothly. And he's now thinking of the feedback he got from Marceau and how he put things into perspective. And maybe he needs to hear Jalen out about how he feels, but I'm confused. Weren't you hearing Jalen out when y'all met up at the pool hall? Did you not hear how he expressed things to you? So it went from one ear to the other. You need another conversation? Okay. So Marceau talks about how is Jalen's investment property coming along. He says coming along good, but pointing out that Maurice hasn't come over to see it, but Maurice is in his feelings because he wasn't invited over. And Marceau can tell a tone was in Maurice about not being invited because Jalen doesn't want him to come. And if you're going to criticize and talk about what he's doing wrong, just come, show your support, and keep your opinions to yourself, okay? But that's the whole thing. Have you been putting the time and effort and asking him how his investment property going? Have you been asking personal questions to see how he's been doing? Because if Marceau knows the updates about his investment property, that means that Jalen and Marceau have that conversation on a consistent basis, and you don't. So he's talking about how Jalen wants to get through this on his own. It's all up to him about what he wants to do. He's not going to value my opinion. And again, like I said, Marceau caught it. Like, does it bother you that he's not trying to ask your opinion? He was like, no, it don't bother me. But, you know, I don't agree with it, but I'm not against it. But it's kind of like, why can't you just show up and be supportive? You don't need to come and give your opinion that nobody's asking you for. Just say, I'm happy for you. That's it. That's all. So just hearing him defend the fact that he wanted to be asked for his opinion, just always looking for somebody that is in need of guidance from his mind. He's always looking to mentor somebody when nobody's asking for it. Like, you do not know how to separate being Martin Luther King versus you being just fucking Maurice Scott. Where is the human? Where is the humanity in you? I can't find it. So because of how he's trying not to have Maurice in his business in regards to his investment property, that's the reason why he's being hesitant on being in the family business, because it's going to sound like a dictatorship. Now, of course, Maurice is defending it. That's not how it is. But if he's seeing it and he feels it, he knows that this is going to be the end result. And the way he's acting, like wondering how do you see it that way, is because he pretty much talks about the hierarchy. When it comes to the person that's at the top of the dictatorship, they usually treat people that's close to them good. But when it comes to the other people that's not on good terms with the person that's running the business, they treat them bad and they tend to go further and further away. So when we're getting into the totem pole, we got Maurice, we got Kimmy, we got Monster, and then we got Jalen at the bottom. He's like, how? When I feel like I'm putting you above Monster, why do you think you're last on the totem pole? Because I'm last in regards to receiving care and love and support. Monster is at the top, receiving all that care and support, and I'm at the bottom. But as far as knowledge-wise, I'm at the top, and Monster at the bottom, because you did not take the time to both teach me and him on the value of hard work, life lessons, because he is low on the totem pole of understanding things and learning things. And Marceau said in his confessional, I feel like Maurice has the inability of seeing things from other people's perspective. He's in his own world about how he views his life and how things should be presented, and he puts it on other people, and he shouldn't operate like that. You cannot ignore other people's thought process and opinions because it doesn't align with yours. So right here, right now, Marceau said, I'm going to say it because I don't think Jalen's going to say it. He thinks there's a double standard when it comes to you and Monster. Maurice asked him, he said, yeah, I do. And I don't think Maurice still wants to be held accountable. That's exactly what he did, to say, I've never treated you like that. I've never wanted you to feel like that. And he keeps on saying, if I treated you like that, if you have felt like that, I don't want you to ever think like that. I'm apologizing for now and for the future. To me, that's not an apology. You don't put an if an apology if you have treated somebody wrong, even though you wasn't sure you were doing it. But once you get told that's how you did it, you take it in, self-reflect, and be like, oh, okay, I can see what you were saying. But I don't think that apology was genuine. I don't. So in his confessional, he doesn't ever want any kid to feel like there was a separation between them. He loves each of his kids the same way, but to me, it's still giving cap, because you still want to give yourself credit with how he turned out by saying he had valid points. Do you understand why he had valid points? Are you understanding where he is coming from? Or are you just saying it and you're not really feeling it? Can. So Marceau asked Maurice, what does Jalen want? And I think he just goes off about what he remembered the day before about Jalen wants to work in cybersecurity. He's working on building his investment portfolio and how he is still getting involved in real estate. But he did talk about a job opportunity in Colorado. And this was nervous of Jalen to do, because he said, I didn't tell you guys. I did accept the Colorado offer, and it starts at the end of the month. Now, did y'all see how happy Marceau got when Jalen told him this? He gave him a pat on the back. He was like fist bumping him. He was showing care and showing happiness for Jalen. I don't know if the camera caught Maurice showing the same thing, or did he just stood there on the side of the table with his arms folded like this and not trying to be comforting, not trying to show any type of gesture that he's happy for Jalen. I don't know. That's what it looked like to me. And so while he's happy that he got the job, he's still a bit apprehensive because the money is not what he thought it was. It's a bit of a pay cut. And it's like, is it worth me moving 17 hours away? So even though he received the congratulations from Maurice just happy to dictate and tell him that he should look at this in a different way, look at it as an investment. You know, you cannot assume you're going to get the money right away. You got to work towards it. Okay, Jalen said that he understood that, but he's taking a pay cut for the last 3 years. He's kind of tired of taking pay cuts. He kind of wants to be paid for what he's worth, right? And it is in the field that he wants to be in. So while I understand Maurice's way of saying you got to pretty much bite the bullet, this is the field you want to be in, you got to work your way up, but you didn't have to doubt his happiness on wanting to take the job and how he is concerned about the money. You should just said, you know what, I can get it. You know what I'm saying? I understand how this can make you feel, but don't look at it that way. Look at it as this is just a stepping stone in the right direction of the field you want to be in. And yes, the pay cut could be something you're not really liking now, but don't worry about it. Once you put the work in, once they recognize your talent, then they'll pay you for what you're worth. Like, the uplifting is what is missing in regards to Maurice and Jalen forming that type of relationship. He's not doing that. But very happy for the opportunity. The world has a lot to offer to Jalen, and he should definitely go towards and see the world. I do believe Jalen should go out and get out of Huntsville. He should live his life and not be attached to this. And so I guess this was a productive conversation. They were able to bridge the gap and open the door for proper communication. That's not going to be taken as condescending. It's not going to be taken as a negative. I think that Jalen will use this as a way to get closer to Maurice. I think he'll still keep his distance. He might change his way of communicating, hoping that Maurice might, but I think that I think he's not sure that he can trust Maurice to be a man of his word. And maybe he is only keeping Maurice in close proximity or keeping an eye out on his mother. That's why. Because I don't think that this one conversation is going to change years of how Jalen has felt. I don't. I think it needs to be more effort on Maurice's part in order for them to be in a better space. But moving on from there. All right, so in the next scene, we got Martell and his mom, Mad Dog Marlene. Y'all, I was not happy when I saw them appear on my screen, because I was happy to not see Martell last week. Now I'm seeing him on my screen and I'm annoyed all over again. And it's pretty sad because Martell really does not have anything to give on this show. Okay, the main conversation he's had is gone, and he wants everyone to see his real life, but his real life doesn't look real, because I don't think he wants this to be his real life. And the fact that he can only film with Destiny for the time being, and possibly his mom, says a lot. But it was pretty much, you know, his adjustment to his new schedule with pickups and drop-offs. He mentioned Maverick's name and telling Marlene that he's planning on moving Ariane and his son into his investment property. And he wants to allude to the fact that he's been keeping up with paying Ariane's bills, but don't want her to renew her lease because I don't think I can afford to pay for all 3 places. Since I'm in my place with my kids and I got the investment property that I bought and built, I might as well go ahead and move them in here so I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and save me a bit of money. But he still doesn't want her to move in with him until he's ready to put a ring on her finger. But he still is hesitant about that, okay? Like, it's irritating for them to have a conversation about how he is still not in that space of wanting to ever be in a committed relationship with Ariane. He keeps on saying, if she's that person for me, if that's the one I want to be with, knowing I want to be married again, but is it with this person? Is she my person for me? Because once I am in that space, I want to be with someone that trusts me. I trust them. I don't want no lies in this. Martell, if you don't want no lies in this, then you need to be honest. And as far as how you want to make sure she can trust you, you need to do some self-reflection, making sure you are trustworthy. You can't be putting it all on if you can trust her, because it feels like it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to change, but you are expecting for somebody to understand what comes with being with you and what you're going to be doing. And Marlene is not having it with Ariane. I can just see it from her tone, from her conversation. She don't see it for Ariane, okay? And for her having to adjust to the new arrangement, and when she referred to what took place between Martell and Ariane as the incident, meaning the affair, you know, how she missed my family, or how she misses her family. You know, you guys are my family, y'all was my world, and we're talking about Melody. I don't think that nobody could ever replace Melody as the best daughter-in-law that Marlene has ever had. Probably the best thing that Marcel's ever had. I don't think nobody would come close to that. And it is kicking Martell right now that while having a hard time with his mom adjusting to Ariane being in the picture and how he wants to move forward in a committed relationship, but yet he wants to keep Ariane on standby. You want to keep Ariane on standby because you don't want it with her. I think you're just saying this so that way you can be shown on camera that you're talking about her, you're talking about what you want with her, but you don't believe it. Just put this girl out of her misery, please. You know, and how Marlene was having a hard time with Melody and Martell splitting up. I remember she was crying about everything, but what I also remember was Marlene coming at Mel for what Martell did and not holding Martell accountable, that this is all because of him, not because of Mel. Even though she did not show up for Mel like she was supposed to, she still holds a lot of love for Mel. You know what I was also reminded of when I got to this scene? Because I was watching other content creators, and when they were going through this scene, they also remembered that in the court documents between him and Mel, they cannot move any new partners into their homes unless it's in a serious setting, unless they're willing to get married to that person. Hence why he's not eager to move Ariane into the home. He's trying to abide by the legal documents, but I also feel like he is using that as an escape to not be pressured into rushing to marry her. Hence why he's having these if conversations. Hence why he is wondering if she's the person for me. I should get to know her a little bit better. I should take my time and also not a third. Even though it's been well over 10 years, how much time do you need? Marlene's telling him take all the time you need. He don't have any more time because he doesn't want any more time with her. Can I be done with this conversation? Okay, because I'm getting irritated, all right? Now, we all know Marlene definitely felt some type of way about Ariane coming into the picture, and Martell said he never viewed her as the one who destroyed everything. He never viewed her as the one who did everything to mess up his family. She is not all at fault here, right? But he did take accountability that it was me. I was the one who did everything. Yeah, you did, but it was with your help. Okay, the way you placed her in her position, she did way too much. It was due to you giving her that type of power that she never deserved. And as far as going through that hump of Marlene not really being comfortable with Ariane, now we're talking about how they've had dinners at Marlene's house and how she's been welcoming Ariane in, and it's like, get out of my face with this shit, okay? And the fact that Marlene is saying after all these years she's still trying to get to know her, she's still trying to get used to her, I just think that Marlene is just sitting there repeating information that Martell told her to say, because I don't believe she is believing what it is that she's saying. I'm just here supporting you, son, because I ain't got nothing else to do. But I don't believe the shit you trying to tell me to say, because I don't believe shit. She will never view Ariane as nothing more than being Martell's baby mama and the one who ruined her family. That's it. That's all. And it's just funny to me that this man is not happy in his decision, but this is a decision you chose to make. That's your bed. Please lie in it. And just this whole testing conversation. You want to test to see if it's the woman for you. You don't want her. But for right now, you don't want to be alone. and you know that you don't want to find a woman that is of male's caliber because you're not in the good level of where you are to be considered someone of good potential, of someone that someone will be interested in learning and learning to love and like. You're willing to just deal with somebody who knows all about you, knows what comes with you, knows all your bullshit, and is willing to be there for it. And that's what Ariana is. Someone for the time being, okay? You're settling is what you're doing, okay? Settling for somebody right now until you reach the level you want to reach and leave her out into the cold. That's what you're going to do. Okay, so moving on from there. Marlene wanted to know, has he spoken to Marceau since they've had a back and forth off social media? He said, no, I haven't, and I'm not sure they want to talk to me, nor do I really want to talk to them. Because even before he dropped the video that he didn't want to do, he was kind of hoping for an apology from Marceau to clear up the lie that Tisha made about him, but that didn't happen. And since Martell's been dropping breadcrumbs about what he knows about the Scotts, he just felt like I had to put my money where my mouth is and drop something, right? Now, as far as how we got to this point where I don't feel like people are like understanding how we got here, this wasn't something that was put out randomly. This was a chain of events that got to this, right? We got the fake fun field day where Martell and Marceau were having an argument. Martell brought Letitia in the mix, spoke about some things in her past. Marceau didn't say shit. Letitia went on Carlos's King podcast, spoken about Martell's alleged past. And then we get to the video of him interviewing some alleged side chick of Marcel and Maurice, and this is why we're here now. So the one thing that I'm tired of Martell talking about is don't come at me when my back is against the wall. I'm going to come out swinging. Don't keep talking about me. I won't be talking about you. And I'm just over it and done with it, okay? What I want Martell to do is either spill what he knows or leave me alone. That's what I want him to do. Focus on himself. Focus on what he needs to do. Don't care about what they have going on. Don't care about what they're not being called out on. They'll get called out. Just wait it out, okay? And this is what Marlene should have done, okay? She should have told Martell, listen, I know how that made you feel because that is wrong to say about somebody, but you should not have went that low with them, okay? You should have went about it a different way, okay? Because to enable him to think that what he did was right when it wasn't, that's all I want for him to do, okay? All I want is for him to stop worrying about exposing the Scotts and worry about figuring out his life. That's it, that's all, okay? And we're moving on. All right, now we have finally made it to Trisha's 38th special birthday party. Everybody's coming in their Daisy Dukes and boots, looking cute, and Tisha instantly bothers me. When she walks into the event, she's going off about why she's upset to see Ken in Trisha's birthday photo. Like, why is Ken in the picture? Babe, that don't make no sense. I thought this was Trisha's birthday. Why isn't she in a photo about herself? In the confessional, you can see that Marceau was annoyed with her trying to have a problem with this because it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm just saying, like, why can't she have her moment? This is her birthday. Why is he in the photo? It's his birthday too. Are we celebrating Trish and Ken's birthday too? That's what I want to know. Listen, Tisha, this is not your moment. There have been plenty of moments we've been rooting for you to have, and it's gotten taken away by your own husband. Please don't make a moment out of this by complaining about seeing Ken in someone else's photo shoot. This is her birthday shoot. If she chose him, let it go. Why create an issue? Why create a problem? Why? And then the four of them sitting down talking about how they're excited to have a good time. They don't want no drama, right? But yet they want to act bothered and they want to talk about addressing Chris over the NDA comment. So y'all bothered or not bothered? Make that make sense. And Jalen comes in, he looks nice. Lance comes in looking very handsome. And these four people wasted no time trying to get into Lance's business, okay? Congratulating him on the baby, saying he's looked like he's getting some good rest, and how's everything going? And they literally want to know how it all went down. And I think he revealed that he really didn't know until last minute, but he's just trying to make things right and move forward as if that's all. It's like, can y'all scoot back, please? I understand this is like hot tea, but sit back. Y'all are way too eager to get involved in somebody else's business right now. Like, don't like it. So Trish, the birthday girl, arrived. She looks cute in her little tassel leotards and her little cowboy hat. And did Ken not have an outfit in mind or something? Because did he wear the same shirt? I mean, anything to show off the muscles, right? But why would you wear the same type of shirt you wore in the photo shoot? You didn't have no other clothes? Okay. Then throughout the remainder of this party, I'm saying that right now, Tisha got on my fucking nerves. Tisha was looking for a problem, okay? Now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she wants to address why is she seeing Ken in Trisha's photo. I thought this was your birthday. Why is he in the photo with you? Why is that a problem for you? That's my problem with you, Tisha. Why do you fucking care? This should not be an issue for you. And Trish defended it by saying, that's my black cowboy. That's my chocolate cowboy. I want him in my picture. Oh, well. Like, what the fuck? And there was also an introduction of Tisha trying to ask her what's going on in her relationship because she feels like she got one foot in and one foot out. Okay, she might be right, but why is that the topic of conversation? Why would you want to ask her that on her birthday? Do you think she wants to talk about where she's at in her relationship on this day? That's awkward as fuck. But Nell and Kimmy were like, no. She said she ready. She said she ready for marriage. She said she's in that space now, okay? But it's just crazy to me that the four people who didn't want no drama, who want to enjoy themselves, are now trying to create drama at somebody else's birthday. Make that make sense for me. And at the same time that's going on, you got Marceau and Maurice cornering Ken to talk to him about how they feel about how he's handling the situation with Marquez. So they want to know what's up with him and Marquez. I thought y'all were moving into a good space. He said we were. We went to a space we're talking about boundaries, but it didn't go well. And I just see Maurice being way too hype and way too eager to just come in and tell Ken how wrong he is about being involved in the situation, because since he don't like how his view on how he handles things is not right, now he wants to tell Ken the way you're viewing things is not right. Not everybody sees things the way you see things, and you need to understand that that's not what we see. We see something totally different, and you need to understand that what we see is not what you see. What we see is you doing this all wrong, and you need to hear what we say. Because at the end of the day, Ken, you're the bad guy. They're still married. Maurice, we were wondering the same thing when you got involved with Kimmy while you were still married. And Kimmy had the term side chick all fucking season, and you didn't say shit about it. And, you know, Marceau is speaking in a hypothetical term about, knock on wood, nothing bad happens to Trish, and if something was to happen to her, then you wouldn't be the first person they called to let you know what's going on with the kids. The kids would instantly go to Marquez's care because he will be the emergency contact next to Ken and all that matter. And it's like they're just like back and forth painting the picture that what he's doing is wrong. And Ken is like, okay, I hear y'all. Yeah, I get the technicalness of it all. Yeah, she was married when I got involved with her. And they're just more hyped and more agitated to like knock some sense into his head like he's not getting it. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Why are y'all so hyped about a situation that has nothing to do with you? Like, oh my God, you want to say it's like talking to a brick wall about not getting it through? Hello, Marceau, Maurice. It's like hard to get through the shit that y'all do. Especially you, Maurice. You know how long trying to get you to get that you did not treat Jalen with respect and care? And you're still fighting it and defending it, but you want to give all that energy to Ken about how he's still fighting and defending that he still wants to be with Trish. That's his problem, not yours. Like, oh my God. I really cannot. And then even Ken said, listen, sometimes when I'm talking to y'all, I feel like I'm on trial because y'all want all the right answers out of him. Y'all want everything out of him. But then when it comes to y'all don't want to give nothing. Make that make sense. In Ken's confessional, he feels like when it comes to talking to Maurice and Marceau, they like to double team, like to tag other people, right? And when they're attacking him about his relationship and how he should go about it, he feels like, listen, they like to repeat themselves over and over and over again. And it's like, yeah, I get it, okay? She was married when I met her and everything else that transpired, I'm all aware of that, okay? But as far as you guys telling me what I need to do and shouldn't do, you two are the last people I need to ever speak in regarding my relationship. And I gotta agree, while they might got some point, I just don't like it coming from them because they're in no position to tell somebody else about how they need to manage their relationship when y'all don't know how to manage your own fucking marriages. Y'all don't ever address situation that makes y'all wives look fucking stupid and y'all be looking like I don't know what's going on. Y'all laugh it off, y'all joke it off, and yet y'all get mad when it's brought back up. But this is because your wives are not happy that you're not clearing it up. That's why. Oh my God. All right, so we're back with the ladies, and Nell says, listen, as much as we hang out, we kick it, we talk, I feel like you two aren't transparent, and that's towards Kimmy and Tisha, because when we talk about what I got going on with my family and my kids, we talk about it. When I'm asking you guys about what you guys got going on and what's going on in your life, you guys don't say nothing. You can tell Kimmy was agitated, she didn't like that comment. And she was like, okay, what do you mean as far as what's going on in our life? Or what do you mean as far as what we don't talk about? What is it? Well, the Martell interview. How did you guys feel about that? You see Tisha make a face. And she's like, I'm not talking about that. And she said, that's the problem. Why don't you want to talk about that? But we're talking about everything else about what I got going on. You're questioning her about Lance and Destiny, but we can't question you about what Martell said. Make that make sense. I don't feel like you should have a right to pick what you don't want to talk about in regards to what's been said on social media when you want to talk about everything else on social media. But that's not about you. That's about everybody else. That's an issue. Now, Kimmy said that she didn't watch the whole thing, so she don't know what you're talking about. Tisha says that she didn't watch any interview. They're both lying to my face right now because Kimmy, you mentioned last week that while this was a desperate attempt about what Martell did and that Maurice would never get caught with that, referring to the woman that was sitting in the chair. How would you know what she looked like, and how would you instantly get that feeling if you didn't watch it? You must have watched a clip or a snippet. It's still along that same realm. You watched it. Tisha, don't lie to me. I know you watched it. You probably watched it heavily to take notes about what was said, and you wanted to address it to Marceau, but Marceau wasn't going to have that. He probably told you not to talk about it. Probably made sure you didn't mention it and go off on the handle and talk about it the way you went off on the handle when you was on Carlos's live. That's why. And another thing, you know what I feel like when it comes to you guys only having private moments to talk about situations that's been said on social media, y'all think that that's going to be the last thing we're going to talk about. Y'all have one conversation, one scene, that's it, that's all, we should just leave it alone. But y'all want to drag everybody else's situation in every single scene, in every single episode, and that's what we're supposed to be happy about. The only one that's getting called out is them and not you. Yeah, don't like that at all. Everybody needs a turn with having consistent conversations about what's been said about them on social media, what conversations you guys are having, what situations you guys are in. That's for everybody, not for you to select. I want to make sure this gets talked about for the next few episodes, and my situation only get talked about one time. Nope, that's not going to happen. It's not going to work. Not over here, okay? And I don't know if the place was loud, but I felt like Kimmy was super agitated and got defensive when being asked about it. So Kimmy felt like, oh, we're not being transparent because you think our husbands are cheating and we're not talking about it. It ain't about what Nell think, Kimmy. It's about just the talking is the problem. You're not telling me how this making you feel. Cheating ain't got to be the issue. It could be how you feel about it. Were you mad? Were you angry? Like, what's going on? And when she asked you guys, Tisha blew me off. So how you gonna blow me off on a conversation that we need to discuss, but you want to hold me accountable of what I need to discuss? And Tisha's in the back saying, and Will, okay, bet Tisha. So I'm gonna keep my foot on your fucking neck and ask you every single time about what's going on in your life until you get tired of me. I'm gonna keep on asking you. It's like you keep on asking me about my shit. The fuck? Not doing that whatsoever. And then Tisha, drunk and out of her mind, talking about, listen, if I had dealt with infidelity in my marriage and me and myself got past it, I don't mind sharing it. But what I'm not going to do is address something that other people want me to address if I don't want to talk about it. Well, see, that's the problem, Tisha. When we know that there are things you need to talk about, you don't want to address. Hence why there are all of these theories and conversations about how you just know your husband is cheating and you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to mention it because you want to live in la la land, live in the land of milk and cookies, and just let that be it is. Let that be it. But how can we know how you feel about it if you don't talk about it? And listen, ain't got nothing to do with infidelity. Scratch that shit. What's going on in your life as far as communication? What's going on as far as your life as business? What are y'all dealing with? You know what I'm saying? Like, that part needs to still be talked about. You can't keep things close to the chest, but then get mad at that everybody else is doing it. Make it make sense. Can't do it. While Tisha is drunk out of her mind, having liquid courage, she now wants to check Nell about how she wasn't transparent about her infidelity. Where the hell did that come from? And yes, Nell has been transparent about her infidelity. Remember, let's go back a couple of seasons ago when y'all went out to lunch and you asked her, have there been infidelity in her marriage? She said, of course. But we didn't get into it because Marceau shut that conversation down. He didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want that to be on camera. He didn't want that conversation being aired. But let's not forget, we had already been aware of that from previous seasons. Nell mentioned that when he cheated, she separated from him for almost 2 years until he got his shit together. And that's the reason why Mel and Martell went to them for counseling, because they went through that before. So we was already aware of that. This was not new information that you think you're bringing us. This is not us turning the tides and looking at Nell sideways about how she's not transparent when you don't want to be back to you. Don't try to flip it and have us look at Nell sideways when we should keep looking at you sideways. Make it make sense. But understanding all of that, Tisha want to come out of nowhere and talk about there's been some rumor going around in Huntsville that Chris is still cheating on Nell, and she wasn't sure how to bring it up to Nell, and I wasn't sure if it was true, but yet you have talked about this before. Remember your confessional, Tisha? You brought this up by saying Nell has other things to worry about than what I got going on. She needs to worry about what's going on with Chris in these Huntsville streets, but I'm not trying to call her out or anything, but that's what you were doing. You were calling her out about bringing up something about Chris, but you wasn't going to mention it to her. You want to be a scary ass little bitch and not keep the buck and say, so what's going on with this? And this isn't the first time you brought up something that didn't get fact checked, that didn't have any proof added to it. You just want to talk about it, be messy, and turn the tide, change the narrative to not be on you, to be on somebody else. That's what you did. Because now you want to walk in, hold her accountable, but then get upset that she's trying to tell you how you need to be held accountable and be transparent, but you can't handle that. Nope, no. And Nell called it. She said, here she go, deflecting again, trying to say, I need to talk about some things about Chris, which I can easily talk about, but it's not even about me. It's about her and Kimmy not talking about their lives. And I think Kimmy wants to defend the fact that we have been transparent, but if you want more from us, we need to reach a level of trust, and you can feel it. But Trish said, I'm very transparent, which made Tisha feel like, girl, no, you not. Like, are you really? Yes, I am, boo. Fact check me, I am. Now we know that Trish was not completely honest in the front about whether or not she did something with Martell. But the way that she checked Tisha was not about to press it with her. She knew she was going to get body slammed. She keep on pressing it with Trish. So she backed away, went back to Nell. And while you got a little bit of a point that she wasn't transparent, don't let this fool you, Tisha. You are not the queen of transparency, okay? So we're back with the fellas. Marceau was talking about the NDA comment, and Will asked them, have they had NDAs before? Maurice answers, Marceau didn't answer, but he wanted to ask Will a question about, is he trying to be an asshole? He said, no, I'm asking you a question. Have you had it? And he didn't answer. So what's the problem? You be asking all types of questions. When it comes to you can't answer a direct question. You want to lie by omission and deflect with asking another question. Okay. So then we're bringing up the rumor that Chris has been going around saying that the Scott brothers were the ones that told Martell to get an NDA. Chris said that's a lie. That's wrong. So the way that he worded it was, Martell said when it came to that type of situation, you need an NDA. And Chris said that didn't come from me. I don't know, but that sounds like some lawyer type conversation. So you might want to figure out if Marceau and Maurice can handle that for you. That's not what happened, Chris. You're lying. In that scene you have with Melody, you were defending the fact that you did advise Martell how to cheat differently. But you also threw the brothers under the bus by saying that's also sound like the type of what they might do. You're not going to convince me otherwise. Y'all never had no type of conversation about this. Hence why you said it. I wish you would have just kept it a buck and said, this is how I said it, this is how I meant it. Because we know they can't mention Melody's name because they keep on replaying that same scene over and over again. And this is another thing. Y'all keep on talking about the rumor that's been going around. That wasn't a rumor. That was a scene that y'all looked back and watched and wanted to bring it up to the forefront, to address Chris, to call him out on something, to still deflect on what you guys want to be called out on. That's it, that's all. But when they heard him, they gave him the benefit of the doubt, they let it go, didn't press it, because they know each other's secrets. So they know what questions to not ask, they know what buttons to not push. Hence so why they're going to sweep this under the rug, hope it doesn't get mentioned again. But back with the ladies, we're still on this conversation about transparency. And Kimmy wants to act dense and stupid, want to play the game of semantics of needing to know exactly what it is she's not being transparent about, because you're not giving me any specific things that I'm not being transparent about. Okay, so you want to go there, Kimmy. Well, let's pull another card. Shout out to Erica Dixon. You were defensive as fuck last season when Melody was asking you about how did you feel about Maurice's DUI. You didn't want to say nothing about it. And you didn't want to talk about how did you feel wondering where the fuck he was. Because it sounds to me, you didn't know where he was. You woke up, he wasn't there. He wasn't at the office. You driving around, can't find him. The next morning he gets released from jail, but you didn't want to talk about it. You're mad, but you don't want to say you're mad. You feeling embarrassed, but you don't want to say you're embarrassed. And we can see it on your face how it bothered you that you were put in this situation and you didn't want to talk about it. Make that make sense. Tisha, let's pull another card on you. last season, you and Marceau were definitely not in a good space in y'all marriage. You had that sad scene at the jewelry store, wanting to stick it to the fans, stick it to the comments about how your husband doesn't act like a married man because he doesn't want to wear his ring. So you're thinking that, oh, my man loves me, he gonna buy himself a new ring. But he gave a sad excuse as to why he doesn't want to wear his ring, and you accepted it. But you didn't talk about it. Like, there were things that were happening last season that you guys could have talked about, but you guys didn't, as if we didn't see what we saw. Like, to make it seem as if we're making it up that you guys got problems. We're making it up that you guys are not honest and transparent. And we're seeing it right here in front of our screens. So, Nell was talking about, as far as things wanting to address, it's the NDA comment. Okay, so Tisha was ready and willing to go and confront Chris about it. Kimmy, not so much. She sat there. And while they walked over there, Marceau made a joke about having a long, conversation about signing NDAs. But that's okay. We talked about it. We signed NDAs. We're good. And that pissed Tisha off that was a joke being made. And that bothers me. Marceau knows what to say that fuels Tisha's insecurity. He knows what to do that embarrasses the shit out of her. Because she's going to have that question every time, wondering if you're being faithful, because you never shut shit down when it needs to be shut down. You make fun of it, you act like it don't bother you, but you know it bothers her, and you don't reassure her and tell her that's not true, and that's an issue. So knowing that she's drunk, she got liquid courage in her. Now she wants to put all that energy onto Chris by wanting him to come in front of her, to come address her about what's been said. And Nell steps in front of her husband, defends her husband, tells Tisha, come all the way down, put your liquid courage hands down, don't bring that over here. Listen, you want to address my husband, address him in a proper manner. Like, this is not going to fly over here with me, okay? The only way you can address him is that you calm down. The only person who can correct my husband is me. And like Chris said, I don't report to Letitia. I don't answer her. And now she's looking around looking stupid, looking for somebody to help save her. Nope, nobody's saving you. You did this to yourself. This is what you need to do to get out of it. The fact that she was trying to have a moment by putting Chris on the spot, and Marceau is definitely in the back watching her make a fool out of herself. This is the reason why the comments and the theories are being said about your husband, not really caring about you, not giving a fuck. Look at this shit. And then in his confessional, Marceau said that Tisha has a habit of approaching other women's husbands like they're her husband, and she shouldn't do that. You right, Marceau, she shouldn't. Please check that, because that's not cool. That's not right. And the only reason why she does that is because you shut her down about wanting to address things that you don't want to talk about. It leaves her wondering. It leaves her doubting, concerned, worried. So now she takes all of that she can't get out on you. She takes on other people. So now she wants to make it a spectacle about the NDA. She's loud, she's crazy, she's belligerent. Chris said, I already spoke about it with Marceau. We squashed it. Still looking around looking fucking dumb. Now that he needs to come in and defend the fact, yes, we did talk about it, because it's all good, it's all good. But she wanted to address it right here and now about what he said. He said, we'll talk about it later. It's reminiscent for me about what Tisha did last season, when Melly told her she has a bone to pick with Marceau about what he said last season, and she only told Tisha to give her a heads up. But when she made a fool out of herself at Nell's party, she got in Mel's face, took off her glasses, wanting to confront her about what it is she has a bone to pick with Marceau, and she said, I'm not discussing this with you. I want to talk to your husband about it. I'm going to take my frustrations onto the person that said it, not to you. And that's Tisha's problem. Now, it was funny to me that Chris and Nell were in their confessional talking about it was a good idea that Marceau told Tisha. We talked about it, but he took his time almost to the last minute to finally tell her that we talked about it, we squashed it, but he should have stepped up sooner, but I'm glad he stepped up. Nell is over Tisha, okay? She's like, I'm done with her bullshit. I don't got time for her. And then I'm happy they replayed all those scenes of Tisha doing the fucking most and not being held accountable. So this is the part of lack of transparency that they're getting it from, okay? You chose to have another moment that wasn't about you to create an issue with somebody that was easily talked about. Like, you just be looking for a way to be dumb, and Marceau doesn't allow you to do it. But that was the end of the episode. Tisha pissed me off with that because it wasn't her place to do that. And when it was discussed, now she wants to act like, oh, shoot, did I do that? Yes, you did do that. Now, I'm hoping next episode, she gets reprimanded for this shit because she wanted to escape accountability last season, and that pissed me off. But y'all, that's it. That's all I have. Please stay tuned for my next video, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.